Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming. I'm Chief Ron Nafla. It's Knafla. Last night, there was a large group of youths that started causing disturbances and fights and running in large groups in and around the Midway area. We requested and received additional law enforcement resources, and shortly after 10 o'clock, there was a single shot fired and created chaos. The crowd started to run in all directions. It's important to note that that shot was fired with law enforcement officers, dozens of law enforcement officers, within 15 to 20 feet of the group where that shot took place. The suspect, again, took off in that chaos and was not apprehended at the time. Later, we learned that there was a single gunshot wound victim that had a gunshot wound to his leg. He was transported to Regions Hospital and treated with non-life-threatening injuries. I think the important thing to note, the law enforcement officers that responded and were part of the State Fair Police Department, the Minnesota State Patrol, did an outstanding job controlling a very, very chaotic scene. And I can't say enough good things about the job they did last night. I don't know what else could have been done. Somebody to engage in such a brazen act in a crowd of people with no regard for the safety or the lives of others, it's just disgusting in my opinion. And I don't know what else to say about it. I certainly don't know what else could have been done. We had a solid security plan that worked very well for 9 days of the fair. Again, this is the act of one careless person that took an action that endangered the lives of a number of fairgoers. I'm going to introduce to you now Governor of Minnesota.
Thanks, Chief. Well, thank you all for being out here. Another beautiful morning, and again, a very important part of who we are as Minnesota, the State Fair. Talking with Jerry and this team yesterday was nearly one of the largest days ever. There were over 250,000 people here enjoying the fair. Myself, my family, we've been out here almost every day. Lieutenant Governor and her 9-year-old have been out here too. Want to first and foremost thank our law enforcement presence. You heard that. I think it's a stunning number that we had literally had dozens of law enforcement officers within 15 feet of an incident. The issue here being is the response, the thought that went into this, the ability to protect folks from, again, I think we're seeing this time and time again. And I think this is something new, both in Minnesota and across the country, the brazenness of this. And I think when we find out, this is going to be a very young individual, and it's this total disregard, no matter how much you put out or what's there. And so I think first and foremost, the thanks to the incredible law enforcement, the plan that went into this, multi-layered. You're going to hear from Commissioner Harrington, got Drew Evans here from BCA, State Patrol folks who can answer some more specific questions on this. But I think for all of us, it just begs the question on this. We have to move into that, not just reactive stage, the proactive stages. Why do these kids have guns? Why do they have guns? And then just to be clear, and I'm very cognizant of this, I have two separate but equal branches of government, in the legislature and in the judicial branch. And I would just implore the judicial branch and prosecutors, if you commit a gun crime in Minnesota, it needs to be very clear that there are going to be consequences that are harsh. They need to be. The idea that we would have young people carrying guns and not be deterred one bit, that there were innocent people around and that they could see dozens of police as they were standing there and still do that. We have to acknowledge that the way we're going to have to get at this is on the front end. Of those that are willing to do this are going to pay a heavy price for it, and we as a society have to have a conversation about what are the things we can do to keep these firearms out of their hands. And I would implore that and make sure we're providing all the resources necessary to these folks who are doing it. And because this one is just, once again, it's senseless, it's outrageous. You hear the frustrations. We love this place. We love the State Fair. Months of work went into this, all of these things, and we have this individual with a firearm that thinks that it's okay to be there. And I just, again, we need to think very, very specifically. This isn't a crime of poverty, just to be clear. We're not talking about someone taking food or doing something. We're talking about someone who purposely bought a firearm to the fair, decided that this was a very specific target they were going after in gang, and decided it would be okay to fire that. There needs to be incredibly harsh consequences for that. So I'm just...